Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Pei Shan. So our topic today is regarding SonicWall. So we are having our online pre-sales workshop today. So Mr. Aaron will brief to you about SonicWall and how do we position SonicWall and how do we upsell SonicWall and so on. So we will run through the agenda soon. So feel free to stay up to end of the webinar because we have the lucky draw today. So by the end of the webinar, we will start our lucky draw. Okay, so without further delay, let's kickstart our webinar and our workshop. So I'll pass it to Mr. Aaron. Thank you.
Thank you, Pei. Thank you everyone for joining. A very good morning. So today, we're just going to talk about some pre-sales workshop, how to upsell SonicWall. So agenda today, I will introduce all SonicWall products as fast as I can, and then we'll take a look on the key differentiation between SonicWall and other brands, how do we position them, how do we do sizing on the firewall, how do we upsell SonicWall, and some use cases, for reference. So a little bit introduction on SonicWall's company. So SonicWall is founded in 1991. All right, their HQ is in California and in US. Right, they have over 1,600 employees. Right, so almost half million organizations are using SonicWall right now. SonicWall solutions, over 215 countries and territories. All right, we have 3 million firewalls already shipped globally. And they have been in the business for 31 years and also awarded with 300 patents and also 17,000 global channel partners. So they are actually a reputable company themselves. They're not a small brand. So SonicWall is actually quite popular in the Western side. So let's move on to the next. Oh yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to drop in the chat box. Pei will look at it and then maybe she will let me know about it. Okay. So we have the global cyber attack trends from last year, 2022, concluded. We see that there's a decrease in encrypted threats, ransomware attacks, which is good, meaning that companies are actually aware of these threats and are taking steps to mitigate all the cyber threats. But however, IoT malware is continue on the rising even to this year and to this day. So there's a bit concern on that part as well. So SonicWall actually uses this RTDMI thing. All right, we call it real-time deep memory inspection for the full name. Okay, so what it does is it detects zero-day attacks and unknown threats that is not known in the cybersecurity world. So these are the stats you see here. At the x-axis is the years, and then the y-axis is the number of threats detected. So in 2019, we detected over 100 unknown threats. All right, 100,000. In 2020, we detected 200,000. In 2021, it's 400,000. And you can see we keep breaking the records with this RTDMI patent technology. All right, so I'll go into more detail on how this works. A little bit more on the ransomware changes course. So over 2017 to last year, we see that there's a spike in an increase of ransomware attack. Now, this is actually the global data from all the countries aggregated into one. And then now, last year, we see that there's a decrease. Again, companies are being smart. They're taking mitigations. They're deploying network security solutions onto their network infrastructure. However, there are still some continents, like let's say some countries like Europe, they are still having an increase in ransomware, not taking any actions to it. But overall, the ransomware has decreased. So now we jump into SonicWall Next Gen Firewall. This is one of the popular products. This is timeline of when the Gen 7 firewall from SonicWall was launched. So we see that in August 2020 to November 2020, we have the TZ series being released. These are considered the low-end firewalls. So from the 270 to 670 TZ series is the low-end models. And then for the mid-end, we have the NSA series, all right, from the 2,700 to 6,700. Okay, so for the high-end firewall, we call it the MSSP firewall, all right. So the largest one we have released is on August 2020 to December 2021. So what are the features and benefits on using SonicWall's firewall? So we offer a superior technology overall. Okay, So we offer 100 to 10 gigabyte interfaces depending on the model. Okay, so from our TZ670, we really offer up to 10 gigabyte of internet port. Okay, so we also provide the secure SD branch, meaning that you can deploy your firewall in any branches and also do management in a single pane of glass using NSM. So NSM is another product from SonicWall that can manage your firewall in the cloud remotely without having to go on site to log into the appliance individually. We also have the capture client integration. So if you have any endpoint security, or maybe a customer requires some endpoint protection for some LDP, something like that, we also have that solution. Our firewall models are considered next-gen hardware. We have a built-in storage. So all the TZ series comes with expandable storage up to I believe 256 gigabyte of expandable storage. All right, and starting from the 570 TZ series, we already have a built-in 16 gigabyte of storage where you can store your logs. So if you're not using syslog, you can store your logs over there as a secondary storage. So for the NSA series, we have the redundant power, so there's also an option. Our TZ series are very high port density. So from 270 to 370, we have like 8 port available, 8 port Ethernet port available. So above that, we have 10 ports. So the 470 and 670, we have 10 ports. So if you want more ports, there'll be the NSA series, and then above more will be NSP. We do provide SFP ports, POV ports as well for your IoT devices. So we have the USB for your LTE dongles. So if you want to use cellular connection, you can use the USB, or you can use it to use with our Sonic Express application to do basic configuration on your firewall. Without entering your firewall, you can just plug that USB into the firewall and just do basic configuration, basic licensing, and that's it. So our UI is quite new. We call it the OS 7, Gen 7. So the UI itself is actually very user-friendly, very attractive, and it's easy to navigate around. We support TLS 1.3. It's much better performance and security device compared to the previous predecessor. I mentioned about the Sonic Express app. We have this available in the Apple Store and also the Google Play Store. Zero touch deployment. If you were to deploy your SonicWall, you do not need to go on site and just like log into the firewall. Like I mentioned, you can do it in NSM. It's a cloud-based thing. As long as the firewall has internet connection, you can do configuration through the cloud portal without being on site. All the firewall needs is internet connection. We also support secure SD-WAN. So this is not a additional license thing. It's already built into the firewall. So we have the SD-WAN feature you can use. Because it's secure, because we use the RTDMI and also the gateway antivirus to make sure the SD-WAN is properly secured. And compared to the previous predecessor, we have a 3 times performance increase, all right, compared to Gen 6. So Gen 7 is actually quite a powerful firewall model itself. It's built to handle heavy performance load with security services enabled. So we also offer high performance threat protection. 15 times connection count increase compared to the old Gen models and also the other brands. We have a fast deep packet inspection rate and also a low TCO overall for our TZ series. So let's take a look at what security services do SonicWall offer. First, we offer the gateway antivirus, which we use a patent technology as well. So there's 2 patent technology. One's the 0-day, which is the RTDMI, and the second one would be the gateway antivirus. We call that RF DPI. Okay, so for any known threats, gateway antivirus will detect that. We also offer content filtering. If there is some content you do not wish your employee to see or to use, or the customer have a requirement that they do not want them to be able to access some URLs, this is where content filtering comes in. We also have intrusion prevention. If you want to prevent some RDP, brute force attack, or port scanning, because IPS, so we have IPS as well. Anti-spyware, that's pretty self-explanatory. DOS as well. Anti-botnet, geo-IP filter. If there's some countries that you do not wish to have the traffic entering your network, you only want the traffic to be in Malaysia, we can do that as well. We can filter other countries. Any IP address from other countries will be blocked and blacklisted. Application control, We can control any applications that you wish that the customer may have some requirements on, like let's say WhatsApp only is available to some certain users. We can also do user-based policy as well. So this is all that we have for SonicWall. So let's touch much more into the RFDPI. This is the gateway antivirus basically. So from here, you see it's a multi-core processor design, all right? It's a real-time scanning, meaning that any files going through your gateway antivirus, there's no added latency, so it does not slow down your network at all, right? So it's bi-directional. It doesn't matter if it's coming in or coming out, all right? It's bi-directional inspection. And there's no file limit scan at all. So compared to other firewall brands, their gateway antivirus may have a file limit scanning. So up to a certain file, it might scan up to, let's say, 2 GB, and then you just let it pass. There is some limits on some firewall, but for SonicWall gateway antivirus, we do not have that limit. Okay, so it's a stream-based inspection, highly scalable. It doesn't matter what kind of file is being scanned. Maybe the PDF has like 10 gig, we will still scan it. All right, and it's a single pass inspection. So here we look at the Gen 7 firewall, the TZ series, the low-end models, compared to the other low-end brands of the other brands. Here you can see like there's like the Gen 6 as well as inside here, and then you have like XG, FG. I believe you're similar to the models if you have been around the firewall market. So as you can see, this is the US pricing, all right, and then this is the thread throughput. So for the ratio, for the price to thread ratio, we offer very attractive, like the TD270, right? For the price, like let's say somewhere around 400 something, okay, we offer you around at least 700 something thread throughput, right? So compared to other brands, it might be much more pricier, and then they offer lesser thread throughputs. While SonicWall, we give you a high thread throughput with a reasonable price. So it's much more beneficial in the long-term wise. You have a lower TCO overall. So let's touch into the first patent technology that I spoke about, which is the RTDMI, the patent technology that we scan for zero-day attacks. Let me just load everything up here. Okay, so here's your traffic, all right? And okay, let's say your traffic is going into your network. You're going to first encounter the first layer of defense, which will be your content filtering and your botnet filtering. That's your first layer of defense, right? So they filter out the traffic that's not necessary. Then next, if you have DPI SSL enabled, so then it will go through your DPI SSL and then decrypt your encrypted traffic. Then it will pass to your firewall for inspection. So your firewall do inspection. If it's a known threat, it basically will go through your gateway antivirus, all right, your RFDPI. So if it's a known threat, it will just block. Okay. So if it's an unknown threat, a zero-day attack, let's say it passed through the gateway antivirus, it looks clean, okay, then we would throw it to the capture ATP plus RTDMI. So capture ATP and RTDMI is for zero-day threats, those unknown threats. Our capture ATP is built on four engine sandboxes with different technologies and 62 antivirus, including Kaspersky, Avira, and those like antivirus that you may know. Okay, so when we detect whether, so you can imagine in those four sandboxes, we're executing the files. We're trying to beat the files out. We're trying to watch files. We're trying to like monitor the files, whether how it reacts. Okay, so after the four sandboxes, we see that it's okay. Then we pass it to the RTDMI. This is the patent technology. Okay, so we check on the memory of the file, the inspection, the code level of the file, whether there's some behavior, abnormal behavior changes or something like that. So after that, only we determine whether it's good or bad. All right. So if it's bad, we throw it back to the capture labs for the database. So it'll be known as a known threat. If it's good, it's all clean, we pass multiple layers of defense, then we deliver to the endpoint. Now you see there's a lot of process, a lot of layer defense, but actually all of this does not have any much of a latency added into your network. So you get the cybersecurity layer of defense into your network, and yet you're having a good performance as well. So this is what most other firewalls are suffering when they have all the security services enabled. So what if you don't want your traffic to be inspected in the cloud? So mind you, capture ATP, RTDMI are all being inspected in the cloud. So if you don't want that, we have the on-prem solution because the capture security appliance. So this is built on RTDMI. So any of your traffic you want to be scanned on-prem, you can go through this appliance as well. So this is much more fitted for like finance institution, government institution, those bodies, organization that does not want to be going on cloud. They want to keep their data in their on-prem where everything is tight, secured, and there's no shared data residency. So all these are for those government bodies or organizations that require this. We do have the solution as well. So now we take a look on our capture ATP plus RTDMI technology. All right, this is basically a data sheet that shows you over a little of 4,800 samples. We have 100% threats detected, okay, and 1 false positive detected. This is tested over 11 consecutive, I believe 11 consecutive quarters or 8 quarters, all right, through ICSA labs. Well, ICSA labs certified. So you can see that SonicWall is actually in the top rank, I would say rank 1 in terms of detecting zero-day attacks. All right. We take a look a little bit more on comparing with other brands in terms of capturing zero-day attacks. So this is 1 quarter to 3rd quarter from last year in the ICSA labs report. So we can see that for other brands, the highest they got is 99%. Okay. But SonicWall, we are always at 100% rate. We keep it that way, and we have been tested a lot of consecutive quarters. So meaning that we are continuously updating our technology, continuously keeping track of our updating our data to public as well. So that is where our key feature is on SonicWall, that we are very strong in terms of blocking zero-day attacks. So here's another key differentiation table against other brands. So on the first row, we have is the private CVE test. So meaning that these are the those undisclosed zero-day attacks, all right? Undisclosed vulnerabilities, basically. So for undisclosed vulnerabilities, we have 100% detect rate. All right, so that is our RTDMI and capture ATP playing the role of blocking all these attacks. So for those vulnerabilities that has been published, that has been known in the database, that is known to the cybersecurity world, we have a 98% rate. So overall, averagely, we have a really good rating in terms of blocking threats, right, compared to other brands. And this is our threat performance, basically our threat throughput. We claim that we have 9.5 gigabyte of thread throughput, but when tested, we actually can achieve more than that. We achieve a little bit of more than 1 gig, I believe, 9 meg, 900 meg. So this is the DPI SSL row. We claim that we have 5 gigabyte, but actually we also achieve more than that. While the other brands, they claim they have this amount and they actually achieve lesser than that. So that is the problem with other firewalls these days, is that they boast about how good is their throughput, but when put into actual testing, there's a lot of bottlenecks, there's a lot of network congestions, and they need to turn off some security services to turn into a fancy router instead of a firewall. So here's another totally report. This is totally certified. So we're matching with the NSA 2700 with Fortinet, okay, Fortinet 100F. So these are deployed over 3 years of HA mode. So you can see the TCO that SonicWall is actually really good. So a 3-year TCO is less than 2/3 of that FortiGate 100F, right? So we advertise that the threat protection throughput that is also 3 times of that 100F. So our threat protection throughput is actually way higher than 100F, okay? So again, you get a lower cost, lower TCO, all right, total ownership cost, and a better throughput performance. So the ratio wise is actually very healthy and better than most firewall out there. So how would you actually position SonicWall firewalls? So for the TZ series, it's going to be a smaller office, or it can be a small branch as well. So maybe they have a HQ and then a branch. So for TZ, we can deploy for those smaller size office. NSA is more towards the mid-market, much more high enterprise. For NSP will be the high enterprise, and NSA will be like the mid and medium size to small companies as well. So how do you actually size your firewall? You have all this data sheet, you have all these numbers and everything. Normally you need to ask these 3 questions. Like first, what is your bandwidth upload and download speed? That's the first question you need to know. Second question is how many unique devices they have in the network. Third is what kind of security service they will be using. Is it you're just using just the gateway antivirus and IPS, or are you using app control as well? So these are the factors we need to take into consideration when we're doing sizing as well. So let me just give you an example on how we can do the sizing. So let's say the customer said, oh, we subscribe to some broadband that have 500 meg upload, 500 meg download. So, okay, that's good. We got the first information. Second information, we know that they have 200 or 200 to 300 devices somewhat, and they're looking to have all the security services except for DPI SSL. So they don't wish to do any DPI SSL, no decryption on the traffic, because there's some data compliance that say maybe they do not want to practice man of the middle attack. So when firewalls do DPI SSL, they're doing man of the middle attack basically. So now we just take the sum of the output and down speed. So we get the total bandwidth for 1 gigabyte. Great. So for 1 gigabyte, we take a look at this datasheet table here. We can see that there's 1 gigabyte here, threat prevention throughput. All right. But this is the wrong sizing. You do not go apple to apple, or you don't go 1 to 1, because you leave no room. There's multiple reasons. First, you don't leave any room to breathe. What if there's a peak time, you hit 1 gigabyte and that's it? You're going to get some network congestion. So that is wrong. You may need to look until like 1.5, give a room space to breathe, right? And the second reason is all the firewalls that are publishing their data sheet here, like firewall inspection, threat prevention throughput, these are all lab tested, meaning it's in a lab environment. They are not in the live environment, so you cannot simulate what is it actually like when you deploy in a live environment. It may be lower than 1 gigabyte when you put in a live environment. So this are also a factor we need to take into consideration. So, okay, we have 1 gigabyte. I'm going to take an example like the TZ570 series. So I'll take 2 gigabyte of threat prevention throughput. And then I'm going to reduce by 65%. All right, so I'll times 0.65. So maybe I need to mention that when they're testing all this threat prevention, application inspection, they did not enable other services as well. Like, let's say, what if IPsec throughput? What about IPS throughput? So they only enable the specific services. All right. So I'll just reduce by 65% for that reason. Okay. So I get 1.3 gigabyte. Great. So 1 gigabyte, I at least have 300 meg room to breathe. Now I want to take the 200 devices and times the minimum connection, 125 minute connection. So one device, I'll be generous. We might have one device might use up to 125 minimum connection. So I need to take a look into here too. So SPI, no, we're not looking at SPI because SPI is just the firewall inspection throughput. So other brands also might boast about how high is the firewall inspection throughput. It might like 20 gig, 40 gig. But overall, what it is just a firewall doing stateful inspection without any security services enabled at all. So you just have a fancy router. So I would not look at this row at all. So SPI, no, we'll just look at the DPI because customer mentioned they don't want DPI SSL. So we just look at DPI. So, okay, we times up 200 devices with 125 minimum connection. We get 25,000 minimum connection. So we're actually trying to propose TZ570. We see that 400,000 connections is more than enough, right? Great. I have more room to breathe. There's so much room to breathe. Now I want to times 2 as well to make sure I give an additional peak time. So even after times 2, I get 50,000 connections max for DPI. So the TZ570 will be the most safest model you want to propose to a customer. If they're on a budget, then you can actually go to 470. Of course, keep in mind when you do the reduction, you can it would probably be like 900 gigabyte, and so it's really something you need to consider when you're doing sizing and all this stuff. Okay, so the answer would be 570 series. Okay, next we jump on to the next product. So that's all the firewall stuff for now. I can go on, but you should have that in another webinar. So the next product we have this network security manager. This is where you manage your firewalls. So what NSM does for you, we manage all your firewall devices, and tenants. You can share, create multiple users to log in into specific group of firewalls that you want to manage in the cloud. So imagine it's a portal, you log in and you see all your firewalls that you've deployed. So you can manage through your firewalls in that cloud, right? Any settings you do, you can synchronize them from the cloud to the firewall on-prem, all right? And you can also monitor everything in a one dynamic dashboard with advanced analytics. So imagine you can see all these users, what website you're browsing, how much bandwidth they're using, how much byte they're using. So all of these details you can actually manage and see in the NSM report. So this is what NSM does for you. A bit use case on NSM, you have like, let's say a HQ, this is your big firewall, and then the rest is like TZ series, right? So this NA series, and everything's monitored in this NSM cloud base, right? So NSM also comes, NSM actually is only on the cloud base for now, as far as I know. The key features for NSM is a cloud-native architecture. UI, it's user-centric UI UX. So it's actually a unified UI with the firewall. So what you see in the firewall is what you might see in the NSM when you're managing your firewall as well. API ready. It's large scale. You can basically manage Gen 6 as well if you have some customers who are using old models. But of course, it's going to be EOL, and you might want to upgrade that as well. Okay, so the features, again, zero-touch deployment. You don't need to touch a firewall on site. Just deploy, plug into internet, go home, go into cloud, configure, that's it. Look at the dashboard, data, everything. Is it online? Is it offline? What's going on? You also have a unified device table to basically see what's going on the status and take action on the device as well. You can also group them up. Let's say there's some Northern branch, right? Northern branch firewall. I'll just put a Northern branch firewall group, and under that will be all the firewalls in Northern branch. And templates, if you have a template policy, administration settings, you can just do that on one template and push it out to all the firewalls. So you don't have to do multiple configurations. It basically just simplifies your job as an IT administrator or network administrator as well. So when you're doing some configuration changes, you can commit and deploy, meaning that once you do your configuration, it will ask you, do you like the settings? This is your settings compared to before. Do you want to commit? Okay, so you click commit and you deploy it. So they basically let you double check before you do things like that. Next, we have the VPN dedicated solution from the SonicWall, which is a secure mobile access and cloud edge for zero trust access. So for SMA, secure mobile access, these are for the solution where companies may not want to use their firewall for SSL VPN because maybe the SSL VPN licensing subscription base will not be that feasible for them. So they will look into a VPN dedicated solution, or the firewall itself will suffer a huge resource utilization. They might be too resource intensive for the firewall to cater to like 1,000 remote users globally. So they might have to find something like SMA or other VPN appliances. So we grant anywhere, anytime secure access. We have a built-in capture ATP as well. So imagine going through a firewall, multiple layers, then we're going through another layer of defense against SMA, okay? So you can do granular control, you can let who goes to what resources in your network. So these are all you can define in SMA as well. We have multiple access layer security, the MFA, content-aware device authentication, application level VPN. We also have geolocation policies, geo IP filter as well built into the SMA. Again, with the capture ATP, know the unknown. And we also have a choice of having a physical on-prem or virtual or cloud deployment of your choice. So the choices are up to the customer on whether they want to fit their requirement. So this is the product lineup that we have. So from the small medium business, we have the SMA 210 to the 8,200 virtual appliance here. All right. So for the on-prem, do not have a V behind. So for virtual, we have a V behind. So you understand that it's a virtual. So below here is just the maximum concurrent users. So we base on the sizing based on how many users that will be going to your network, going to connect to this SSL VPN. And then for the enterprise cloud, we have the SMA 7201. So when you have one model that is for the enterprise level. We can also do a global HA cluster with the CMS. So CMS is also something like NSM, but it's built for SMA. So next we have the Cloud Edge Secure Access. We call it SASE, all right, for short form. So SASE is basically the same. SASE is basically the same like SMA, how it functions, everything, except that it's deployed in the cloud. So, so it's a cloud-based. It's being maintained and managed by the principal themselves. So there's no need to do maintenance and stuff like that. All you need to do is just have an IPsec connection between your branches, your applications in the cloud, or your network, stuff like that. Okay. So this is basically catered towards company that may have too many branches and they want to use something like SSL VPN without deploying so many SMAs, right? There's no way you're gonna like have 30 branches and you're gonna deploy each SMA in 30 branches now, right? So they can all use a Cloud Edge, and everything connects to Cloud Edge, and Cloud Edge to whatever resources they want to allow access to. So here's a table of the key differentiation between SonicWall Zero Touch access with other brands. So we have global HA where others do not have this. So there's a global load balancer, load balancing the VPN appliances. So it could be an active, it could be an active standby. All right, so the choice is there. We provide capture ATP. Okay, so there's a first layer of defense, while others might be just pure VPN appliance and probably let your firewall do the work on doing the defensing stuff. We offer global traffic optimizer, meaning that similar to the global HA, except that we use FQDN. So anyone wants to access to your VPN will type this FQDN, then this FQDN will do load balancing whether which appliance would be healthy, would be lesser resource, and it will send them there, route the traffic to there. We do centralized licensing pool as well. So if you have 800 users, you just need to buy one license for we call it the CMS, and then you can just do pool licensing, and you can use that instead of buying like one license per appliance. That would be too much. So I will not be getting into too much detail here because we have other tables when you get into it. Next, we have the cloud app security and email security, the CAS and the ESA. So here we have a little bit of Microsoft defensive. So okay, Microsoft 365 layer defense structure here. Okay, you have the EOP, Exchange Online Protection, apply one layer of defense. Great. So we block off some, but zero-day phishing still get past the EOP. So it's 48%. But you deploy ATP from Microsoft service, we still get past like 11%. So only 59,000 attacks still reach the inbox. So there are still attacks going to penetrate those layer of defense set up by Microsoft themselves. So this is where you want to deploy something like cloud app security to add another layer of defense to make sure you get most of the threats out of your inbox. Okay, so we have the solution for Gmail, Google Workspace, Microsoft 365, all right, Outlook, Google Drive. You know, all those cloud app, we do offer that protection, you know, DPL, DLP, and also click time URL protection. So this is a solution that SonicWall also offers for the cloud applications. For email security, if you have on-prem email server, you can also deploy email security. It's also available in virtual and cloud as well. So this is also another solution. So the key benefits, again, similar to the cloud app security, we stop ransomware before it reaches your inbox. We prevent email fraud, phishing attacks. We secure your Office 365 G Suite. We have this DLP and data compliance, and also it's easily to manage and report as well. So this is for the cloud app security comparison. You can see that SonicWall, we try to use this capture ATP technology in all of the solutions because, again, capture ATP is very reliable. It's proven to have 100% detect rate on the zero-day attack. So we have capture ATP in most of the products you see here. So for other products, of course, they don't have that. And we also have a report on the ICSA labs again. So we're not just saying like, oh, look, something was 100%, so take my word for it. No, we have a report, we have data sheet for you to look at it, so you can do your own. You can basically show the customer, hey, look, 100% detect rate, here is all the reports. Are you convinced now? Something like that. So we are also a lower TCO overall. So this is the email security for other brands. Again, we are a complete cybersecurity solution, meaning that we have other solutions that can work with all the SonicWall solutions. So yeah, overall, you can see we check all the boxes and all the rest somewhat and somewhat not. Capture Client is an endpoint protection tool from SonicWall. We basically integrate with our unified management from SonicWall side, Capture ATP, firewall enforcement, and content filtering with Sentinel-1. So you can see there's two body combined to one, and we call it Capture Client. So this is I would say like the hand, the left hand, left bicep, and the right bicep, all right, the autonomy of Capture Client. So Sentinel-1, we have advanced EPP and EDR. threat hunting with deep visibility, endpoint network control, remote shell, and rogue device discovery as well. So for the firewall endpoint synergy, so we can enforce that user who wants to connect to our network needs to install capture client enforcement. Without capture client, the firewall will not recognize this user and they will not permit this user into the network. So this is something we can do in terms of synergy wise. We can do DPI SSL enforcement. If a customer has a requirement where they want to decrypt the traffic, so they may have 100 network devices or 100 users, we can deploy capture client into those devices and then deploy DPI SSL through the capture client, and the capture client will just help them install without having to go through all the devices to install. We also have user device telemetry sharing, meaning that the information from SonicWall will just, capture client will just send it back to the firewall. And we can do user-based policy using that information given by the end device itself. So when something's blocked on the network, the endpoint will be notified as well. Hopefully you can see this table is a bit small, but here are the endpoint comparison with other brands. So SonicWall, again, we check out most box. We have this agent enforcement, we have DPI SSL enablement, user visibility, content filtering, and also end user threat notifications as well, while others don't notify the users where there's a threat in the network and something like that. We do have the access points and switches as well. I'll just fly through it. So we have SonicWall 600 series access point. We can also do a floor planner. Okay, this can be managed by the firewall. So it can be integrated with the firewall or using a wireless network manager to manage in the cloud. And also can be used by the Sonic Express app to configure in your phone. Next, we have the switch. This is a layer 2 managed switch. Again, you can be managed by the firewall, or you can use a wireless network manager. All this going to the local UI to manage. Okay, so we have the switches, and these are the models that we have. We offer the PoE port as well. Okay, so upselling SonicWall. So I have a few points here. Again, as a solution, you need to be, when you're trying to upsell SonicWall, you need to analyze the solution, okay? You want to analyze the customer current network infrastructure, what's their pain points, what's their future growth plan. Once you understand their requirement, you analyze it, and then you can propose what is this relevant SonicWall solution that you have just saw that I've briefed through. Comprehensive product knowledge and research. Of course, nobody knows everything, right? Even myself, I don't really know 100% of SonicWall products in details. Okay, so it's gonna be crazy for you to like take everything into one. I understand that, but you need to at least do some in a certain standard, a certain level. You need to have some comprehensive level on the knowledge, the product itself. You do research, then only you can speak in confidence that hey, this product can do this. I think that the solution it fits your infrastructure. In tailor solution recommendations, this point is meaning that you need to tailor according to the solution. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, meaning that again, a customized proposal, based on their budget, based on how everything their environment is, then you propose a solution. And you can also help them do a return on investment analysis. All right, if you buy this, here's the pricing on this year, and this is how much profit you may save up, or how much cost you may save up too. And you also want to push for POC and trials. So once you understand the requirement, great. Now you want to push for POC because seeing is believing. So once you push for POC, there's a 60% chances you might close the deal, right? So because they see that, they saw their requirement. Oh, I see. Great. Okay. Now they decide whether this brand is better than the other brand. So the POC is very important. So when you're doing POC, you want to provide consistent support to them, showing that you care, showing that you commit. And also you might want to educate the customer or while you're doing the support, like, hey, look, you can do this and that. It's a pretty cool trick that SonicWall can do. So, and the last point, I would say just stay up to date, all right? So there might be a new model coming soon, and there might be new patches and new features. We never know. So stay up to date. If you have chances, subscribe to the newsletter from SonicWall, and you might see in your email. All right, let's go to the use case scenario. Okay. So here for the first use case, a multinational company with a distributed workforce spread across different locations needs to provide a secure remote access to its employee, but their firewall resources will be very intensive doing so. Okay, so they basically want to have that strong security control and compliance with industry regulation using SSL VPN, yet without suffering firewall performance. So we will propose a SMA product. If they are more towards cloud strategy, then we propose Cloud Edge. So this both of these solutions are designed to provide a secure remote access. Next use case, a distributed enterprise or small medium business wants to strengthen their network security, to protect their site, office, branches against various cyber threats. So this basically this distributed enterprise already have probably a firewall in their HQ, but now they want to strengthen their network security in their site, office, branches. So this is where we might think about TC series already. So against malware, intrusion attacks, okay, we have that. Unauthorized access, that's what firewall does, right? Productive web surfing, that's content filtering. So we propose the TC series. All right, so next use case, if there is a distributed enterprise with multiple branch office, remote locations, and they need a robust and centralized security management solution to ensure a consistent security policy, monitor network activities. Basically, they want monitoring a single pane of glass and respond to security incidents effectively. So what we have here is NSM, all right, to manage all the firewalls and the monitor in one single pane of glass. Next use case, a finance institution needs a robust endpoint security solution to protect its sensitive data, mitigate risks associated with cyber security threats. So here they want a comprehensive endpoint protection, something with an advanced threat detection that's capture ATP that can respond to capability and centralized management to ensure the security of its endpoint. So here we propose SonicWall Capture Client. Next use case, a mid-sized enterprise relies heavily on the cloud. So they are cloud, leaning to cloud strategy. Applications such as Office 365, Google Workspace, Box, Dropbox, Citrix share file, collaboration, productivity, and data storage. So they recognize there's a need to secure the cloud application against evolving cyber threats. We see that on the threat graph bar chart early on, right? There's always going to be incremental attacks no matter what. So they're seeking a robust cloud application security. We offer the CAS, the cloud application security, for this solution. Okay, I think that is all. So let's jump to Q&A. Any questions so far? Where is the cloud hosted? I'm sorry, let me see. So only one question. Where is the cloud hosted by SecureOne? So our cloud, we are in Europe, we are in America, we are also in Tokyo. So right now we are in 3 regions so far. Any more questions? Don't worry if you are shy and you still have some questions that you may have for us after the meeting. You can let us know through the email, which I will show you in the slide in a moment. If you're still thinking about a question to ask, don't worry, I think we have some time. What happened to the firewall if the cloud is down? So if the cloud is down, which would be very highly unlikely, but in a scenario where the cloud is down, the firewall will still continue to operate as it is. It will continue to operate like a on-prem firewall would, because it's an on-prem firewall, if that makes sense. But the data itself will populate once the cloud is up. You're welcome. Thank you for asking the question, CK. What happens when the customer renew late? Will it be cut off? If you renew late, definitely the services will definitely stop working. It will become, if you're talking about the firewall, I assume, or any other appliance, any other solution, the services that you get license will be cut off. Okay, and if you renew late, you need to, I believe, need to pay the previous time period that you missed. All right, so that time period that you missed to pay, that will be charged as well. I hope they answer your question, Raymond. So don't worry if you're worrying that if you renew late, will the whole thing stop? No, it will still operate as usual. Like for firewall, it'd be like a normal router without the security services. It will still go through, it still work. But you don't get the security services that you paid for. No. Basically, the security services, the licensing, you'll not be able to access and it will stop working. But the routing part will still work, so your network will still go operate as usual. There will not be any disruption to your network operation, basically. Just that no security services anymore. Yeah. In a way, you can say we cut off. Yeah, cut off. Okay, thank you, Raymond. Is that all for all the questions? Do we have any more coming in?
Okay, guys, is there any more questions here? Feel free to leave your questions in the chat box.
For any more information, you can contact sales@secureone.com or visit our website.